given this space and time that we're in, particularly as black men, there's a lot of pressure on us, on the many of us, to compensate societally for the few of us. And so there's a lot of bad stuff going, and the narrative around black men looks that way, when the narrative around black men is not that. It's totally different. We are family people. We're family men. We're loving men. We're giving men. We're community men. What can men like us do moving into 2007 to help change the narrative of how America sees us as a people?
Education. Education of what our ancestors did to pave the way for us to get education, to have the right to vote, to have the freedom of speech. Education is a pivotal part to show where we come from, and to show that what society has to say about us is really not about us. You know, we have to really do what we're doing, you know, which is educating them about how to get involved in your own community, how to be involved in your church, how to be involved in community events around the community, and give back. You know, whereas, you know, when you were growing up through the ranks, you always had somebody in the community to give you an opportunity to cut their grass, to, you know, chop wood, to, you know, do certain things in the community because they knew what was in the streets. Now it's our turn to give back and to show the upbringing that we had, and, like I said, to also educate.
Now you're talking about educating men?
Yeah.
There's two scenarios when it comes to us, though. One of them is nobody ever gave me anything, so why am I giving back? The other one is I ain't got nothing to give. How we address those two?
Well, that's a great point. I think, you know, it's easy to say, hard to implement. You know, and I'm even speaking for myself, right? Service is our give back.
Right.
But now, what does service look like? When you speak to our millennials, and this is a very touchy topic because it's hard to reach our millennials. You know, some of them don't want to hear from the wise ones or the older ones, so they just want peer-to-peer mentoring. But I always looked at the older men when I grew up, and all of them had a heart of service, no matter what. Like the janitor, his own time, coached baseball. You know, even the guy hustling came, donated balls and jerseys for PAL. So there was always a connection. And I think the disconnect now is we don't do enough servicing to show our young kids what that servicing look like. You know, speaking to a lot of the young kids, we're challenging them to find a problem in your community, come up with the solution. Don't complain, come up with the solution. So this challenges 40 kids to sit on the round table and now come up with the problem. I can almost attest half are challenged not to, because it kicks into a gear of unknown territory. Why? Because a lot of the male figures checked out, so they don't even know how to address a problem without the yelling, the screaming, a constructive way of coming up to a solution. So it's just a lot of work, though. A lot of work. But I think if we can help the next generation, instead of putting them down, just show them how to constructively come to a conclusion to solve a problem, and show them how it's done intellectually. You know, again, education, these conversations, I think that'll be a great platform to start.
But then the question becomes, how do you help those who don't want your help and don't want to be helped? And one of the things that helps is hurt. You know,
That's
you
true.
know, pain can drive you insane, or pain can drive you home.
So
Pain
actually,
can drive you insane, or pain can drive you to wisdom. You know, where you want to hear, where you want to know. You know, a lot of people who reach a point where they're getting help didn't want to help, but found out through pain that they needed the help, or they needed to be open to the help. So everything that you're saying and everything that you said, you know, it works, but a lot of times it has to work through that tunnel of pain.
so you saying let them empty out their emotions, and then once they come to a point that they need it, we're there.
We need to be there no matter what, because that's who we are, and like you said, that's what we do. But we also need to be sensitive to those who, no matter who we are, what we say, and what we do, they could care less.
Yeah, but we don't even ask people why they hurt. Let me change that. We don't even ask people why they don't want help. We assume why they don't want help. Right?
That's a
And
good point.
so
That's a great
Real good
point.
point.
really, when you're talking to people who don't want help, it's typically because every time I've asked for help, I haven't gotten it. Or when I've asked for help, there was a condition. Or when I've asked for help, the person held that against me. And so there are several different
Good
reasons
stuff.
why somebody will say, you know what, I don't want your help because I know what that looks like.
Right.
Or I asked you for help and you gave me something I didn't ask for. Right? I told you I was thirsty, you gave me something to eat. I got something to eat. I need something to drink. But you walked in here assuming that I needed something to drink, even though I kept telling you I want something to eat, or vice versa. And you're going to force what you want me to have because you believe that I need this. But that's selfish, because what you want to do is you want to relieve your own burden. Right? And so when you look at this work, a lot of times we don't even ask people what they want. We just give them what we think they need based on some piece of us that wants to release some space in our lives.
Is that a solution?
So if I'm hearing them right, we have to become better listeners.
Yes.
We have to become better listeners. I mean, my wife checks me all the time. She checks me all the time because I really pride myself on being a good listener. But I can always be better, especially when it comes to the kids. See, you hitting something though, Kenny, because my wife checked me because I used to be a yeller. And I don't know where I got it from, because my mom never yelled at me. Right? I grew up without my dad yelling. So I don't know where I got this from. So my wife said, "Babe, they don't hear you. They don't even hear you." And that really got me. So I started talking. Then I overcompensated. I started talking too much. So then I had to really find my comfort zone where my words were few but effective. And I used to have to repeat myself to my kids. I only want to tell you this one time, so I need you to listen. So exactly what you're saying is exactly what I expected from my kids. So I think if we can become better listeners and stay consistent with what we're doing, we will carve out a nice blueprint. And for those that may not be ready for it, then our consistency hopefully will draw them in.
But being a better listener allows us to be better givers, better providers, better tellers, better able to touch the person or scratch the person where they itch instead of where we think they itch. As you would say.
Absolutely.